Okay guys, here's a project. I actually started looking into this a couple months ago. It was probably June or May. Heck, it may even been April when I screwed my finger up, and I hadn't monkeyed with this since. But I got the 450 up on some ramps here. I'm going to get the oil pan off here. I already got the starter wires disconnected and the hitch off. And I'm going to pull the 4 bolts out that hold the oil pan on. And we're going to look up in this engine and see if we can tell what bearing is spun or got chewed up in it. Because I got a bunch of metal out of the oil when I drained it. And I don't remember if I did a video of that or not. Like I said, it's been a few months. So anyhow, let me get this oil pan off. I'm going to use the jack because the starter is on it. And I would really like to not drop it on my head or anything. So this starter is pretty fair size. Let's just say it's a big starter. So okay, let me get this out of here and see what's going on. Okay guys, so I got this apart, and the first thing I see down here, and there you guys can see it. Somebody's had this motor apart twice before. Well, how do you know that, Steve? Well, there is blue silicone around the outside of the pickup screen, and there's orange silicone on the screen. And this copper mesh is part of the breather, which is actually straight up above right here. Looking in the motor, I don't really see anything too serious offhand. I can't really get my hand up on the cam like I would want to. I just don't see anything. The rod bearings all look good. There's no free play anyhow. I mean, they could be worn for all I know, but there's no play in the direction you wouldn't want to play. They seem pretty snug. There's no end-to-end play in the crankshaft, and none of the bearings are spun near as I can see, unless the one back here in the timing gear cover is spun. So what I think I'm going to have to do is I think I'm going to have to pull the flywheel off, pull the gear cover off for the oil pump and everything, and see what's going on. I want to be able to get my hands on the cam and try and move it up and down, see if there's any play in it, because either the cam bearings are spun or something going on in this motor to make that squealing noise it always had. So let me get that done here, which I don't know if I'll get that done today. Today is Labor Day. My grandpa and uncle's coming over for a cookout, so it's about 11:40 now, so I'll probably come back to this later, guys. Okay guys, I decided I would pull a rod cap here and look in and see what I could see. And hopefully I can't tell if the camera's focused good enough or not, but the crank looks good. And I got the rod cap down here so I remember which way it goes on. But the rod cap looks really good. It looks like there might have been a piece of something that went through it at one time, but everything looks good there. To me, I swear this thing looks like it has brand new rod bearings in it, almost, is what it looks like. So, I don't know. The only thing I see, and I don't know, it's on the back side of the connecting rod there, but you can see the shiny area. It's where the piston skirt's been dragging on the cylinder over there. And when you turn this thing over, you can hear compression escaping on the inside from both sides. Maybe you guys can see it. Wait, where are you guys at? Where are you at? Where are you at? There you are. Right up there. You guys can kind of see a little bit of scarring on the edge. That is really the only thing I see in this motor, though. Somebody had this thing apart. As you can see, I got the cover off. I didn't see anything there, so I figured I'd come down here and fish a little more. I'm almost thinking what I'm hearing more than anything is the compression escaping. And that's what's making the noise, which I can put up with the noise. I just didn't want the machine to blow up, is what I was worried about, because these 450 motors aren't exactly easy to find in decent, at least rebuildable condition. As of right now, I have a perfectly rebuildable engine, as far as I know. Well, like I said, I know somebody's been in here at least once or twice. The last guy I did it used a red gasket maker. Before that was probably blue. When they put the oil pan on, for sure. So I just don't know. Don't really know. I have a half notion just to slap it back together and just run it. That's what I got a half notion to do, because I'm not seeing anything jumping out at me. Yeah, there's a couple oil leaks and stuff, which I can deal with those. And the plus side is I have a gasket set for this. And hopefully I didn't knock you guys out of focus, but there's something else interesting I was looking at. The motor is yellow for sure, and it has been yellow all of its life. The transmission looks like it is yellow painted over red. But this is a 71, and they didn't start painting things red until 72, I want to say, and you can really see it. Trying not to wash it out with the camera, but can you see it right along the edge there? Right along the edge of the axle and the axle tube. A little bit of red there and on the bottom. A little bit of red bleeding through and all the scratches. So I'm starting to wonder if this thing wasn't painted yellow. I mean, it don't really bug me, but I guess it really don't matter. You can see a spot up there by that axle bolt. It's right up there too. Alrighty. Well, I'll put this rod cap back on before I get it on backwards, and I'll spin it over and check the other side once, and otherwise I'm just going to slap it back together and go for broke. I'm going to check out the governor though, because the governor was always kind of weird on this tractor, like it didn't work. So anyhow, here we go. Okay guys, so since yesterday, decided I was going to go ahead and pull the pistons and the rods out and just inspect everything and see what was going on. I mean, I really haven't checked anything for out around or anything yet, but there's some pretty decent, on the top of both these pistons there's a good bit of road rash. So I'm not real sure if something come through the oil galleys. They both got marks in the same place, so I don't know. And near as I can tell, it looks like just saw a number. There you go. Will the camera focus on it? But it looks like 10 over is what I was seeing on these pistons. Oops. Yeah, that makes the piston better. Steve, hit it on the bottom of the flywheel. I think you guys can see it there, yeah. That's upside down, but 10 over. Road rash is actually a little bit. This one has a little bit on both sides, or is that just from me handling it? Nah, it's got a little bit on the bottom too. This side up here's got some pretty good rash. This was the bad side, cylinder, I think this was 1 technically. I think so. Because 1's not actually stamped. Where in this one, hopefully you guys can see the 2's there in line. I put these back together so I wouldn't confuse them. And the bores, bores don't look, I'm trying to keep you guys straight, but it's going to be hard. The bores don't look terrible. They're mainly dirty for me trying to get a clean rag and clean them out more than anything. I'll have to take some carb cleaner and hit them or something, and then spray a little bit of oil in them. But I think what I'm going to do, because there is a ridge toward the bottom there. I don't know if you guys, yeah, you guys can see it there. There's a little bit of a ridge back there where probably the piston was catching or the rings are catching. This engine has definitely some use on this rebuild. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to hit the hone, or get the hone, and I'm going to run that down in these cylinders, and then you know, just see where we're at from there. If the motor really needs to go to a machine shop, I guess I'll take it to a machine shop. It was okay the way it was. The only reason I opened it up is I thought it had a spun cam bearing. That's what I thought, but once I've cleaned it out, I just haven't found anything inside the motor. I mean, bearings look great, the crank looks great. From what I can see, I don't have the mains off, obviously, because I don't have the crank out. I'm just going to try and do this overhaul, like an in-frame overhaul on a truck, just kind of like a top end. Can't do a whole lot to the bottom end or the cam. And more or less, I'm just going to put it back together and see how it runs. When I took this left side apart, let's see if the cylinder head will still show the story. But basically, the left-hand cylinder head was full of oil. And this thing, when you parked it and let it sit, it would always throw out a spot on like the wall or wherever where it was sitting next to out the exhaust. And I always assumed the carb just flooded a little bit, even though I knew this carb worked pretty good on this, but in fact it was oil. So I guess we're going into a Redneck Engineering. We're going to get the hone out and see what kind of damage we can do. So here we go. Okay guys, hopefully you guys will be able to see, but I hit that with a hone and broke the glaze on everything, and that'll help the ring seat back in and everything. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it's not deep. I can't catch a fingernail on any of them. So I think we did alright honing. My stones are kind of wore out, so I don't want to get too crazy with it, but this side over here I didn't get quite as well towards the top, but we'll see if it's better than what we had. What the worst thing happens, I put it back together and it smokes now. Well, just take it back apart, get new pistons and rings, and you know, I rebuild the motor right. As of right now, I'm trying not to spend the money. I just want this thing to run, and for it not to make that noise would be nice. And if I put it back together and it still makes a noise, well, I'll tear it all back apart again. And that's all there is to it. So, anyhow, I'll continue with this tomorrow night. I'll get some actual clean paper towels and get the carb cleaner out and clean the pistons up and stagger the rings, and we'll get them started back in there, see what we can do. So, tomorrow night, guys. See you later. Oh, or in your guys' case. 3, 2. Okay guys, I really didn't film putting this back together too much. I just kind of wanted to put it together. I did a lot of it late last night, but figured I'd just show you guys now, or you can see I got the new oil pan gasket in it, new timing gear cover gasket in it. I got the throttle linkage hooked back up. I got the governor, I believe, set right. I believe. I could be wrong. Oh, that's what the problem is there. Okay. So I think we're all right there. I'm going to have to go play with one of my other endings and see. And the only other thing I got to do is hook up the oil pressure sender, which I got to remember what I did with it. It's in a box. Yeah, it's in a box here. With all the tin bolts and stuff. See if I can thread this back in, and that way at least I have the idiot light. And at a later time here, I'm going to add a gauge to this just so I can actually watch the pressure and not rely on this switch being good. That's not saying I've seen oil pressure gauges go bad, but you guys know what I'm saying. So, anyhow, here we go. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the flywheel back on. I'm going to leave the tins off and everything. I'm going to start it up and just see what it sounds like. So, here we go. Also, it's got fresh oil in it. I've had oil sitting in there, and I oiled all the rod bearings and the caps and everything. And like I said, we'll see what it does when I fire it up. Oh, guess no, I won't. I didn't hook the battery up yet. I don't know how much battery power I got, but I would like to crank this a little bit and build some oil pressure, and then flip the choke on and have it start up. That's what I would like to do. Now, what actually happens, I don't know. So I got that squeal it always had. It's only running on one cylinder. So it seems like it's working and the oil pressure switch is working, right? But as soon as it's shutting off or you stop cranking it, the oil pressure light's on. I know it don't idle near as low as it used to, but it hasn't done that in quite a while. And I think that's the lack of compression on the other cylinder. Considering I put a bunch of oil in the cylinders, it don't sound too bad. It didn't smoke. I know it has really, the gas in it's probably, I swear, 2 years old, I bet. So